In my discussions about physics, people often wonder how I can be a determinist. Some people get very upset at the idea of not having free will. And some people get confused at how I could be okay with it. And I've come up with an analogy that I think will explain it. Human beings are like dice. When you roll dice, what are you trying to do? You're trying to get a random number. But dice aren't random. They have mass. There's a certain force you're throwing them with. There's a certain coefficient of friction on the surface they're rolling. And if you had all the data, you could perfectly predict what side of that die is going to show. And this is largely within our capabilities. But we don't. We have not dedicated funding to make the perfect die prediction machine, because that defeats the purpose of the die. The hidden information, the noise, is important. There's virtue in it because it allows us to treat a fundamentally non-random thing as if it were random. The things that depend on dice, like the games that use them, could not operate if we had that complete information. And no one is interested in getting that information to stop those games from operating. At the end of the day, dice are just objects that follow the laws of physics like anything else, but the noise in their information allows us to use them as random number generators. They are effectively random, even if they're not in actuality random. People are dice. We are made of the stuff of the universe. We abide by the laws of physics. We are cells that are made of atoms, that are made of subatomic particles that follow the laws of physics perfectly. And if we had perfect information, if that were even possible, then we could predict everything that anyone will ever do. Someone's going to bring up quantum uncertainty, but yes, you could still calculate it. But we don't. We don't attempt to calculate that information. So even though we are still objects that obey the laws of physics, we effectively still make choices and have desires and stuff like that. The die is still random, even though we could predict it as non-random. We are still making choices, even though we could predict what those choices would be. And in fact, several scientists and mathematicians are taking a stand against studies that are attempting to predict human behavior, because sometimes they cause human behavior. That's a double-edged sword there. For example, there are initiatives that attempted to predict crime using heuristics, and some data shows that they may have been causing that crime that they predicted. So in fact, in situations like that, more hidden information, more noise is better. And in a way, the notion of our choices, of our will, is a lot like that. The information noise is what allows us to have free will. It doesn't matter if, in actuality, we're a deterministic system like anything else. By the way, if you want me to talk about those predictive crime algorithms and why they were a horrible idea, let me know in the comments.